So what happens is I'm in there watching. He says, "Oh God, he just." Cleve, you got to get going. You're losing these folks because he's going to give kind of the history, and I'm going to say, by the way, I've independently replicated this at Fort Belvoir. So what happens is finally he gets off and he gets my turn. So I stand up to talk, and I'm basically got to hurry it up. In about 90 seconds, his lab assistant comes running in and says, "What happened 90 seconds ago?" So that's when I started talking. He says, "Well, this machine just went wild. I can show you these tapes." I got some. It is now just going on. Well, I can tell you that telling the National Academy of Science the universe is not built the way they think it is can be emotionally stimulating, because that's what I was telling them, And so what happened is, and you see throughout the time that I'm talking until they run in and they rip it off, it just went wild. And I am considerable distance from my wife. We had forgotten that they were running because they were going to set up to do somebody else.
So let me make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So you have a polygraph machine hooked up to your cells. To your white cells.
Right.
You have nothing hooked up to you.
No.
When you get an emotional response.
But I understand I am a considerable distance away. There's a number of brick walls between me and that thing, yes.
So your emotional response is communicating with the white blood cells in a completely separate room through brick walls. And the polygraph machine is measuring the emotional response.
Yeah, and it went wild.
This is why you told me not to be messing around with photons and electrons the other day on the phone, isn't it?
Well, there is no rational explanation for why I had done it at 50 miles or so. It was from Belvoir to Arlington Hall. At that time, INSCOM was at Arlington Hall Station, and I had the lab set up down at Fort Belvoir. So I am going to see Stubblebine, and I know I'm going to tell him no to something he does not want to hear. And sure enough,